All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to DevOps DC, the DevOps DC meetup. My name is Nathan Harvey. I will be playing a couple of roles tonight. I'll be playing your host, your MC, and then later on this evening, I'll come back and also play the role of presenter. So first and foremost, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. If you're not local to the DC area, you may not know this, but we had a bit of a weather event today. It turned out not to be quite as terrible as everyone was predicting, which is good. But at the same time, it gave us a nice opportunity to live stream this meetup, come together as a community online. And so if you are just tuning into the live stream, we would definitely welcome you and encourage you to join us in our DC Tech Community Slack. You can sign up for that at DC Tech Slack, all one word, dctechslack.com. And once you've joined that Slack team, if you jump over into the DevOps DC-meetup channel in that Slack team, you'll be able to meet with the folks that are here, both as presenters and as participants in tonight's live stream. So I'm going to run through some quick intros and announcements. We'll then have presentations both from Jeremy and myself, and then we'll sort of wrap up the evening with some sort of networking, likely through Slack and maybe even through this Google Hangout. So yeah, thanks for joining us. And let's see. So the next thing that I wanted to mention and thank are our sponsors. So we have two sponsors tonight, and typically our sponsors are great for providing things like a location in which we can meet and food and beverages that we can consume during the meetup. Of course, since we're doing this all virtually, it is it's sort of a bring your own evening, but I thought it's important for us to still give a nod to our sponsors. And I'm just going to give each one of them a minute or so to introduce themselves and talk about whatever they like, actually. So first, I'd like to start off with Excella. And Excella is our typical location host. And tonight from Excella, we have Dave Bach. So Dave, take it away.
Hi, I'm Dave Bach. And had we not had the slurpy snowstorm of 2017, then we would be meeting in the Arlington Tech Exchange, which my company Excella is an event space that we host. And I'm the DevOps service area lead at Excella, and I'd just like to get the word out there that we are hiring. I've been there a few months, and I have to say the place is fantastic. The fact that we have a venue like the Arlington Tech Exchange that we use internally for our own career development and training and external events and user groups, it really aligns with a lot of the things I look for in a place I work, which is a passion for education and career development. If you are a DevOps engineer or would like to be, give me a call and we can talk, and love to talk to you. Thanks.
Yeah, and of course you'll find Dave in the Slack channel, and I'm sure Dave will post a link to Excella's website, maybe some career openings that you could check out.
I'll do that right here.
Yeah, great. And I do love Excella. They have been a very gracious host for DevOps DC for, well, at least for a year, a little bit more than that. And so it's great always to show up at the Arlington Tech Exchange. Thanks for joining us tonight, Dave. Next up, we have our food sponsor for this evening. It is Pie Day, so I hope you have a pie in front of you right now and that you're going to eat that while we meet. But I'm going to turn over control here to Drew from Fugue. How's it going, Drew?
Hey, Nathan, it's going great. Hope everybody's doing well, enjoying the virtual meetup. Probably rather be with everybody eating the pizza, but this is the next best thing. So thanks, everybody. Just a quick word about Fugue. Fugue is a system for centralizing the management of multiple cloud environments across many AWS accounts. So if you're operating at scale on AWS or you're looking to go to AWS, hope you take a moment to check out Fugue and see if it might be right for you and your organization. It's really about providing an accurate real-time view of your entire footprint, provisioning all of your infrastructure, and ensuring that everything stays the way you intended it to. So it's continuously monitoring and enforcing all of your infrastructure configuration state for you. And it includes role-based access controls so you can ensure that the right teams have the right privileges with the right environments, and you can deliver those resources quickly so you can move fast. So You can find out more at fugue.co, and feel free to reach out to me at drew@fugue.co, and I'm also at Batterista on the Slack group as well as Twitter.
All right, thanks so much, Drew. It is really great to have Fugue as a sponsor as well. Meetups happen, as you probably know, meetups happen because people volunteer to pull them together, to help organize them, to speak at them, and so forth. And we certainly couldn't hold those meetups without the graces of our sponsors. So thanks very much. And Drew, I definitely encourage you to drop a link to Fugue there in the Slack channel because people want to know more.
I will do so. Thanks.
Awesome. Great. So then moving along, but not that far. Let me fix my slides here. Okay, so next up, I'd like to talk, every time we host a DevOps DC meetup group, I like to point out our code of conduct. We really expect and want our meetup group to feel welcoming to everyone that's involved. And part of what we do to make that so is we make our sort of understanding of what behavior we expect from our participants, we make that explicit. So we do have a code of conduct. I'm not going to read it to you here, but you can see there's a link on the slide here, which of course you can't click the link on the slide, but I can drop a slide or a link into the Slack channel. And then in the Slack channel, I just also want to point out that in addition to the DevOps DC meetups code of conduct, there's also a code of conduct for the Slack channel that we're all in, or the Slack team that we're all in. So just bear these things in mind as the night goes on. I'd also like to recommend that you follow DevOps DC on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you should definitely follow DevOps DC because we send out late-breaking changes to what's happening with the meetup. Like, we're not going to meet at Excella tonight. We're going to meet online. And also, we'll tweet out things like what's coming up in terms of the next events that we have and so forth. Of course, by now, if you're watching this, I hope that you've joined us in the DC Tech Slack. Again, we're in the DevOps DC meetup channel there. I also wanted to point out, if you happen to be local-ish to DC, there's also a Baltimore Tech Slack, so you can get to that at slack.baltimoretech.org if you want to sign up for that team as well. It's a great way to connect with others in the local community who are doing awesome stuff with technology. But speaking of Baltimore, last week we actually held our first DevOps Days Baltimore. It was an awesome conference that happened across 2 days. It was 2 days of great presentations, 2 days of open spaces. I think it was, I might be a little bit biased, but I think it was a super successful event. Now, I mention it here because we have posted a bunch of the slides on the website, and we're going to have videos from all of the talks coming to the website soon. So I would definitely recommend that you check that out. You can also ask folks in the Slack channel because there were plenty that went to DevOps Days Baltimore, and they can tell you about their experience there. But speaking of DevOps Days, we do have DevOps Days DC coming up this summer. So we announced this last week. Tickets are now on sale, as well as the call for proposals, or the call for presenters, is currently open. So on July 17th and 18th, we're hosting DevOps Days DC. Actually, by we, I mean Capital One is hosting DevOps Days DC. So we're going to meet at the Capital One facility there in McLean, Virginia, which I know isn't really DC, but it is close enough to count, and is certainly going to be an awesome event. If you've never been to a DevOps Days, I definitely recommend that you check these out. They're really cool because you have, as I mentioned, presenters that come and give talks, which include keynotes that are about 30 minutes each. And then we also do a round of Ignite talks, which are shorter 5-minute talks, which are really super awesome. And then we spend about half of the conference in a format called Open Spaces. And Open Spaces truly is the heart of a DevOps Days. And it's similar to a bar camp or an unconference, if you've been to one of those. Basically, we make up the agenda on the spot, and we talk about the things that are most important to the people that are in the room. So it's a really cool format. And then in terms of upcoming meetups, DevOps DC meets on the second Tuesday of each month. So our next meeting is scheduled for April 11th at Excella at the ATX at the Arlington Tech Exchange. And I'm pretty sure, Drew, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we have Fugue lined up to come and talk to us for next month, and then we'll have one other presenter. And if you're sorry, go ahead, Drew.
Yes, I believe that is true.
All right. Well, if you follow DevOps DC on Twitter, you'll find out for certain. Once we get Drew's colleague locked in, we'll announce it there. But then also, if you're interested in speaking or want to see other people that are interested in speaking, you can check out the DevOps DC GitHub organization. We actually manage sort of who our upcoming speakers are, or who are people that are interested in speaking through that GitHub. So if you have a talk that you'd like to propose for our meetup group, just submit a pull request to that repository, and we'll get you added to the list. And then as the time comes for the organizers to line up our next speakers, we'll drop that in there. And then my final slide before I turn it over to Jeremy here is, well, if we were all in the room together now, I'd give you an opportunity to speak up on your own. But since you're likely watching the live stream, the best way for you to answer these questions is to jump into that Slack channel. So I'll just pause for a minute and invite you to answer any one or more of these questions. If you're hiring, post that into the Slack channel with us. If you're looking for work, let us know. Let us know in that Slack channel. What else is happening? And then since tonight is a BYOB sort of night, we don't get to drink beer that Drew and Fugue have provided. We don't get to eat pizza. Maybe just share with the group. What are you drinking tonight? And so to kick that off, I will first, let me stop sharing my screen. And then I will mention that it is Pi Day. This is true, but it is also the week of St. Patrick's Day, which is super important to me. So tonight I'm drinking a Guinness. So sláinte, everyone. Oh, that's so good. All right. Well, without much further ado, and while the conversation is sort of happening in the back channel of the Slack team, I'd like to introduce Jeremy, who's going to be our first presenter for tonight. Jeremy, I'm going to turn control over to you and look forward to your talk. Also, while Jeremy is setting up his screen sharing and introducing himself, if you have any questions for Jeremy throughout his talk, simply post them into the Slack, and I'll sort of monitor that Slack channel and make sure that those questions get asked of Jeremy. So, Jeremy, over to you.
Let me just make sure. I should have unmuted myself. Is that coming through? Okay, I've got a nod and a thumbs up from you, Nathan, so I'm going to take that as a yes. And we'll get the screen share started here just momentarily. Where is that little button? Bear with me here. I've done one of these. And all right, Nathan, can you just confirm that the slides are coming across?